Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive. Today we're going to be stepping into a really fascinating part of history that often gets overlooked, and that's the world of African explorers in Spanish America.
Oh, that's a good one.
If you're enjoying these deep dives and want to see more visual content, by the way, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We've got even more fascinating explorations over there.
Excellent.
So for this deep dive, we're going to be using resources from the National Park Service on African American heritage and ethnography.
Great source.
So, we're starting with a really solid foundation.
Absolutely.
It's important to acknowledge that when we think of Spanish exploration, the image of conquistadors often comes to mind.
Yeah.
But the truth is that the expeditions were made up of a much more diverse group of individuals than we typically imagine.
Right. And it's easy to sort of fall into that trap of thinking of it as one monolithic group.
Yeah.
But the reality was much more nuanced and complex.
Okay, so picture this. It's the 15th century. Alongside those Spanish conquistadors arriving in the New World were Africans playing vital roles right from the very beginning.
Wow.
Some came seeking new opportunities, while others were tragically brought over as slaves. Did you know Africans were present in the Americas as early as the 15th century?
Yeah, it's a fact that often gets overlooked.
Yeah.
But it's crucial to understanding the full story of the Americas.
So between the years 1519 and 1700, over half of all enslaved Africans brought to the Americas landed in Spanish territories.
Wow, that's a huge number.
These individuals helped build and maintain colonial societies.
Absolutely. And their labor and expertise undeniably shaped the New World as we know it.
One of the most captivating stories from this period is that of Estabon,
Oh, yeah, Estabon.
an enslaved African who arrived in Florida in 1528 as part of the Narvaez expedition. Out of an expedition of 400 people,
Wow.
he was one of only 4 survivors.
That's incredible.
What stands out to you about his story?
Well, first of all, his resilience is just striking. After escaping captivity, Estabon walked across the continent, from Florida to Mexico City. Imagine the incredible journey and the challenges he must have faced.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling
It really is.
when you think about it.
But it wasn't just about survival for Estabon.
Right.
He became known for his healing abilities and diplomacy skills.
So he had quite the skill set.
He did. He really did. And he used those skills to build bridges between different cultures.
That's amazing.
He even served as a guide and interpreter for missionaries, forging relationships with indigenous communities along the way.
Really forging those connections.
Yeah, he was a true pioneer in many ways.
And there are even accounts that suggest he had multiple relationships with indigenous women.
Right, which speaks to his ability to connect with people from different backgrounds.
It really challenges the common narrative, doesn't it?
It does. Estabon's experience, while exceptional, wasn't entirely unique.
Right.
Many other Africans, both free and enslaved, participated in Spanish expeditions across the Americas.
Like the Coronado expedition in 1540, which included an African interpreter who later became a Franciscan friar.
Oh, wow.
And the Juan Garrido expedition in 1600 even involved African soldiers and their families settling in the new territories.
That's fascinating.
These individuals weren't just explorers, they were settlers, developers, and even defenders of these new territories.
Defenders.
They played a crucial role in shaping the social, cultural, and economic landscape of Spanish America.
Absolutely. It really makes you reconsider the traditional narrative of exploration, doesn't it?
It really does. And speaking of defenders, let's talk about the Black conquistadors.
Ooh, Black conquistadors. Those are some fascinating figures.
These were Africans and Afro-Hispanic Americans who fought alongside Spanish conquistadors. Many saw military service as a path to freedom and inclusion in Spanish society.
Yeah, that's a really important point.
It makes you wonder about the complexities of their motivations.
Absolutely. While some were undoubtedly forced into these roles, others actively sought opportunities, even within a system designed to disadvantage them.
So it's a very nuanced situation.
It is. Their motivations were complex and varied.
Some Black conquistadors even achieved remarkable things. Take Juan Garrido.
Oh, Juan Garrido.
He fought with both Ponce de Leon and Hernan Cortez, participating in conquests across the Caribbean and Florida.
Wow, talk about being in the thick of it.
It's incredible to think about the scope of his involvement in these conquests.
Yet, even with his service record, Garrido faced limitations in terms of social mobility.
Really?
This highlights the complex reality of the time. Exceptional contributions didn't automatically guarantee equal treatment.
We see this in other examples too.
Right?
Sebastian Toral settled in Yucatan and raised a family, but he had to petition the crown for property and recognition.
Wow.
And Juan Valiente, after fighting in Guatemala, Peru, and Chile, was rewarded with an estate and, unfortunately, indigenous slaves.
That's a complicated legacy.
Then there's someone like Juan Garcia who amassed wealth and actually returned to Spain.
Oh, wow. So there were some success stories.
These diverse stories demonstrate that there wasn't one set path or outcome for Black conquistadors.
Right. Their experiences were shaped by individual choices, societal structures, and a degree of luck.
But regardless of their individual achievements, all of these individuals had to navigate a very specific and complex social structure, the casta system.
Ah, the casta system. Now that's a whole other deep dive in itself.
That's right. This system was a rigid social hierarchy in Spanish America based on race and ancestry.
It's a stark reminder of how social structures can shape lives sometimes in very limiting ways.
So at the top were the Peninsular Spaniards born in Spain.
Right. The elite.
Then came the Criollo Spaniards born in the Americas.
The American-born elite.
Indigenous people and Africans were relegated to the lower rungs of this hierarchy.
And that had very real consequences for their lives.
It's almost like a historical echo of the inequalities we still see today.
You're right. It highlights how systems can be designed to benefit certain groups while marginalizing others.
And that's why learning from historical examples is crucial.
Absolutely.
We can then understand how power dynamics operate and how they might be challenged.
So we've got this complex social hierarchy, the casta system directly impacting the lives of African explorers and their families.
Right.
But let's bring it back to the expeditions themselves.
Okay.
Were there other notable African explorers who made their mark on Spanish America besides Esteban?
Well, that's what we're going to find out after the break.
Stay tuned. Absolutely. There were many others whose names might not be as widely known, but whose contributions were equally significant. Skilled navigators, talented interpreters, and courageous soldiers all played essential roles in these expeditions.
It's incredible to think about the diverse range of skills these individuals brought to the table.
Yeah.
They weren't just laborers. They were experts in their own right, contributing to the success of these expeditions in countless ways.
Absolutely.
What specific skills did Africans bring to these expeditions, and how did those skills contribute to their success?
Well, for instance, evidence suggests Africans played a crucial role in introducing agricultural techniques and knowledge of medicinal plants to the Americas.
Oh, wow.
This expertise helped sustain these expeditions and in turn facilitated interactions with indigenous communities.
That really highlights the interconnectedness of history, doesn't it? To see how knowledge and skills flowed across cultures,
It does.
shaping the course of exploration and colonization.
And let's not forget the African women who participated in these expeditions.
Right.
Their stories are often overlooked.
Yes.
But they, too, played vital roles.
Absolutely.
Some accompanied their husbands or fathers, while others embarked on these journeys independently,
Oh, wow.
seeking new opportunities or escaping hardship.
It's an important reminder that women were active participants in this historical narrative,
Yes.
facing their own unique set of challenges and triumphs.
Absolutely.
I imagine their motivations were as diverse as the women themselves.
Yep.
Some may have been driven by a desire for adventure, while others may have been seeking a better life for themselves and their families.
Indeed, they worked alongside the men, contributed to the establishment of settlements, raised families, and ultimately shaped the cultural landscape of Spanish America.
Wow.
Their resilience and adaptability were essential to the survival and success of these expeditions.
So we've talked about Esteban, but we've also touched on the wider presence of Africans in Spanish expeditions, the challenges they faced within the casta system, and the often overlooked contributions of women.
Right.
It's a story that's both fascinating and complex, full of moments of triumph and tragedy.